Longtable is located where the River Mander and the Blueburn River meet, just south of Bitterbridge. Here lives House Merryweather, the lords of Longtable who were one of the prominent families of the Reach, though their power in recent years has diminished. During the reign of King Maegor Targaryen, Lord Merryweather marched north with Lord Caswell in support of the king. However, he was killed the year after by some of the warriors' sons loyal to Sir Joffrey Doggett. During the dance, the Merryweathers supported Rhaenyra Targaryen, and Lord Merryweather was executed for his refusal to bend the knee to Aegon II. Later during the war, Lord Ormond Hightower laid siege to Longtable, where the widowed Lady Merryweather surrendered the castle. The Hightowers did not execute her, but they took all of her wealth and food before marching on Bitterbridge. It would also be here where Lady Caswell sent Maelor's dragon egg, hoping it would appease Lord Hightower after the death of Aegon's remaining son. During the regency of King Aegon III, Jane Merryweather was one of the many maidens considered to become his second wife. However, Lord Unwin Peake spread a rumor that she dressed as a squire to visit the brothels of King's Landing, in order to discredit her and give his own daughter a chance to become queen. At the end of the regency, the undistinguished Lord Mark Merryweather was one of the 3 regents chosen for the remainder of King Aegon III's regency. He was known for his love to feast and was later dismissed that year from his office. We don't hear more about the Merryweathers until Robert's Rebellion. After Lord Tywin Lannister resigned as Hand of the King, Lord Owen Merryweather became the new Hand. He was ineffective at keeping the peace between the supporters of King Aerys and his heir, Prince Rhaegar, and during the start of the rebellion, he was stripped of all his lands, titles, and exiled from Westeros. After the rebellion, Lord Owen's son Orton Merryweather convinces King Robert Baratheon to restore Longtable and its lands and titles to the Merryweathers. Robert agrees, for a price, and he empties the treasury in compensation. Since then, their wealth and status have not been the same as it once was. In A Storm of Swords, Lord Orton is married to Lady Taena of Mere, who is a companion of Margaery Tyrell in King's Landing. They have a son named Russell Merryweather, who is heir to Longtable. They were present at the Purple Wedding and Tyrion's trial afterwards, where Lady Taena swore that she saw Tyrion drop something into King Joffrey's wine cup during the feast. In A Feast for Crows, Lady Taena becomes a close confidant of Queen Regent Cersei Lannister. Through her machinations, Cersei names Lord Orton to the small council and later Hand of the King. But after the former queen's imprisonment, both Orton and Taena return to Longtable. And at the end of A Feast for Crows, that is all we know about House Merryweather. Hello and welcome back to WesteroScraft Walks with your host, Chris the Gardener. So today we will be exploring the lands of House Merryweather of Longtable, which is where we are right now. So I should probably mention right now that Longtable is still a work in progress, so you'll see some unfinished bits here and there, like those lines of wool in the sky. At this fork in the road, if we go to the left, it will take us all the way to Tumbleton, the domains of House Footley. If we go back that way, we will make our way back to Bitterbridge and the 2 Sept trees that we passed through in the last video. So we're not going to go to the left, but we're going to go over to the right. That will take us to Longtable. So House Merryweather's sigil is a golden horn of plenty spilling out apples, carrots, plums, onions, leeks, turnips, and fruits of many colors on a white field bordered in gold. That was a pretty long description of a sigil. And their words are, "Behold our bounty," which is very fitting considering that they have large fields of crops, as you just saw. Over in the distance, you can see the castle of Longtable, which is surrounded by all of these lines. So these are just markers for borders. That white one over there is the domain border for the lands of House Merryweather. Let's just see if we can take a closer look. Their border is along the Blueburn River, which is that river over there, and the Mander River, which flows from Bitterbridge and meets up with the Blueburn. So here is the entrance to the castle. We will return later, but we'll go to the left and look at the town over there. This is the main town of Longtable. There are hamlets scattered here and there, but they are a bit far from here, so it might be saved for a shorter video in the future. Over here we have barley. I believe that's barley because the wheat is golden. And these two buildings are some of the grain silos for storage. You can see that sand is overflowing from this crate. The grain silos here are massive. As you can see, we use sand for grain. And right next to the silos, we have this butcher shop over here. So this yard is where the butcher stores a lot of his meats, like hare, ham, and in here we have more ham and sausage. If we go upstairs, we have the butcher's living space with a small loft for his bed and just some more storage. Let's go out the front door. I'm trying to work on getting some new shaders so that way the interiors don't look as dark when I walk inside. So let's, like in the stable here, it's really hard to see without a torch, so I should probably get my torch out, but I just want to get a shader pack that kind of adjusts when you go indoors or outdoors. You can kind of see how old and dated these stables are. I don't think we have any stables as large as this anymore, and if they are, they're on some of the older builds, but we don't really use logs for a lot of things these days. And here we are at the main square of the town at Longtable. Here is a stand where a puppet show is going on. Stannis and his Red Witch. Here is a cheesemonger. There's a butcher. Maybe he has his stall here instead of at a shop. A baker, a fisherman, a chandler, and a wine merchant. Over here we have the Sept, and unlike the Sept trees, these statues of the Seven are made out of stone and painted, and each of the seven gods have something which they are associated with. So, except for the father, I don't know why the brewing stand, which we use for his scales of justice, isn't here. So we'll move on from the square down here past the well. Over here we have a small, or I guess a large cart full of fruits and vegetables, which are either being dropped off at market or going to other places far away. Probably not to King's Landing though. Here is a tailor. It's a small tailor. maybe they make banners here. And then, of course, here we have the spinning wheel for thread. Let's close that. Upstairs, we have a small living area. Here is a food preparation area with some fowl. And over here is where the tailor would sleep. And a small closet right here with a chest for his valuables. Let's go back down, and let's go this way over here. Wow, these houses are really old. Here's a fork in the road with a tree, and here we have another grain silo with some flour sacks nearby, and this building over here is the mill. Here is a cart where the mill is receiving some deliveries of grain. And here is the main mechanism for the mill. So they would tie donkeys to these ropes here, and then they would walk in a circle, and the mechanism turns and grinds grain in this area up here. You can see the grindstone over there, and on the other side we have some grain that's being turned into flour, and some sacks of flour over on the side. Over here we have a small area for the workers who work in this mill, so this is the eating area, and above we have beds, a bunch of straw beds, a small storage area right here. So let's go back down. Over here we have more storage for any grain shipments that arrive at this mill, and over here we have more storage, maybe for all the flour that they make before it gets sent out. Now let's go on to this part, right past this dentist over here. So as we're walking here, you can really see some of the unfinished lands of Longtable. So if we, like, at this field here, you can see there's red wool, which should be where a path would go. And if we go further along this path over here to the other side of town, you can see here is one of the unfinished roads. So the gold is where the road to, I think this is the road to Ashford, if I remember correctly. This goes east, and next to it we have these yellow plots, which is where a lot of crops would be planted. These fields are currently unfinished as of right now. And over here we have something we haven't seen before. We have some strawberry patches over here. You'll see a lot of these in the Reach, because the Reach grows a lot of the food aside from the riverlands. Let's make our way over to the castle now. We are passing by the square again. Let's get back past the cheesemonger and a vegetable stand and a chicken coop here on the left. So this castle might actually not be what Longtable looks like in the future, because this, like I said, this is still a work in progress, so it would be very interesting to see what it will look like once it's completed. And here we are back at the entrance to Longtable, which I can confirm has a very long table. So if we cross this stone bridge here over this moat, which connects the Blueburn and the Mander, and across this drawbridge, and the gates. So this is actually much more fortified than the Castle of the Caswells. We have arrow slits, murder holes, a portcullis. Wait, I don't think we had murder holes actually, but definitely it's an improvement than just a gate. Over here is a training area with some dummies. And let's go inside this, the gatehouse here. So on this level, we have a small armory with some helmets, swords, and anvils, which are meant to represent armor. We really should have a dedicated armor block. This level is some of the barracks for the guards of Longtable, and we have the winch for the portcullis over here. If we can squeeze past this table, up here we have, it looks like we have some coal to drop on any attackers, and more areas and more sleeping quarters for the soldiers of Longtable. Wow, these rafters are really old. Up here is one of the towers that stand on either side of the gate. We have some arrow slits, which are a good defensive feature, but this is a bit unusual since I'm used to seeing a lot of crenellations on these. Here is the mechanism for the drawbridge. But going back to what I was saying, so like, it's a bit weird how there aren't any crenellations. Like, they're so common on castles that I expected them to be here. Although I'd say that an enclosed area is just as good with arrow slits, since it minimizes the risk of someone being hit by an arrow if they peeked out between the crenellations. So that was another armory in the basement of that tower, and here are the battlements that overlook the main approach into Longtable. I can't really get onto this wall here, so we'll just move on. If we go this way, we have a walkway that will take us to one of the towers along the walls of Longtable. These are just defensive towers. There aren't anything else inside as far as I'm aware. Yeah, there's nothing really here. These are just places where soldiers can shoot arrows from the arrow slits. The stairs here are also unfinished. Like, normally for a 2x2 staircase, we'd have these vertical oak wood doors, or half doors, which we would put underneath to make the stairs feel supported. And up here, those stairs lead to the top of the tower, where we have these large windows where soldiers will shoot arrows from. These aren't ideal for defense because arrows can easily, archers can easily shoot arrows through those windows and hit whoever is shooting arrows at them. Over on the other side, we have a walkway that will take us to the opposite tower on the other side. We won't go up there because there isn't anything else in here, but we have a walkway with some storage for arrows, armor, weapons, which will lead us to this hallway over here, which is for some of the servants of Longtable. Let's close that. And if we go downstairs, we have an entrance to the yard, and we also have this area here for the servants to eat and prepare food. Over here is just a privy. So we'll just go back out and, is there anything else in this building? I might have missed a door somewhere. I feel like we should be able to go up one more level. Or I guess not, since that the second floor is where those servants' quarters are. So over here we have the stables, and these are just large, and they use oak wood, which it's an outdated building technique, and the wattle fence is also a bit outdated. We use those shutters like on the kitchen building over there. This area here is the forge, where they will be making weapons for their assault on King's Landing and Stannis. Here is the large furnace, and we have some coal over here and some iron and firewood off to the side. And this room here is storage. So we have some straw, some Merryweather banners, and other things like flagons, candles, and the candelabras, which we really just use a chain for. There is an area above, but we'll get to that eventually. If we go up here, we have a statue of Lord Mark Merryweather, who was one of the regents during the latter part of Aegon III's regency, and this area is for the living area of, or for some of the guests and other highborn visitors to Longtable. This is a small area for servants, for a servant. And here we have a canopy bed in the colors of House Merryweather. So this is most likely either for extended family or guests. This area here, I think these rooms over here are for knights in service to House. No, not that. Knights in service to House Merryweather, with the suits of armor that were in the rooms. Yeah, and these are those doors that I was talking about. Here we have some more lavishly decorated rooms, so these must be for guests to Longtable. This bedroom is empty. You can see that there's no straw or blankets on the beds. It's just the frame. Over here we have an area, we have another tower for guards to defend Longtable. This room overlooks the Mander. The rest of these rooms over here are, except for this, I think, oh, this is just another bedroom, but the rest of the rooms on this level are lavish bedrooms. I don't want to place a torch there. Let's close that. And upstairs we have a larger room. So here is a small area for like a small enclosed patio. Ignore the noises coming from the Great Hall. That's for something later. And over here we have the bed, which is one of the simpler designs. We can go one more level up, so let's go back to the staircase and go up one more level where we have the area for the Maester. So here are the beds for the people, for servants and people who assist the Maester, and this is the Maester's chambers. You can tell by the black bed. And through this door here we have the rookery with a lot of raven cages. We have some meat which to feed the ravens. And if we go on the other side, let's close that door. On the other side, we have the storeroom for the Maester. Here the Maester would be growing a lot of the herbs and medicines that he would need to treat the people in this castle. And we have this balcony over here which overlooks the Sept, which is on top of the blacksmith. So let's go down and explore that Sept. We'll just go down this walkway here and through the courtyard to these stairs, which is the entrance to the Sept. Over on the right, we have the statues of the mother, the smith, and the stranger, and on the left we have the warrior, the crone, the maiden, and the father. And up here on this dais is where the Septon would be preaching to the Merryweathers. Though I imagine how awkward it would be, since Lady Taena is from Myr and would most likely worship the Lord of Light, or R'hllor. So here we are, back at the main entrance to the keep, next to that statue. Here is the seat, the audience chamber of House Merryweather, and this is the chair where Lord Orton Merryweather would be sitting as he hears any grievances brought before him. Here is the gallery, and with some benches for people to sit. And here we have a small area. That is a very unusual closet. We also have another area on the opposite side, and there's actually a very small painting of Westeros on there, which is actually pretty funny, placed on that large wall over there. So up here we have the staircase, which will take us into the living spaces of the members of House Merryweather, the main branch. Over here we have an area for bathing for the rest of the family. The Lord and Lady have their own private bathroom on the level where they sleep. Here are some bed chambers with some really flat ceilings. This area is for the servants, and let's close that door. And on the other side, we have a small meeting room with a table over here. Maybe this is a solar, though it looks more like a meeting room. Here is a small library. We have some bookshelves over in this corner. If we go up one more level, we also have these arrow slits along the stairs, which is pretty good for defense. This level is for more of the family. So here are some servants' quarters. And here is another bed chamber. This shelf is pretty empty at the moment. And over here is the bed. We have some lavender petals in the basket, the basket on the table. Over here we have another room. This one has a blue bed this time around instead of red. We also need a lot more bed variations for the nobles and I guess not the commoners. This room here is a small balcony area, which I guess it's not a balcony since it doesn't extrude from the keep itself, but here we have an area for Lord Orton to just sit, drink wine, and just look over the lands in his domain. So this last room over here is another bed chamber, except this time the bed is this area, and we have a small partition for a changing area, so maybe one of the ladies of House Merryweather resides in this room. Not Lady Taena, though. She has her own room on this level here. So this level, we are greeted with a painting of King's Landing from the show. We should really change it. But this level here is for the Lord and Lady of Longtable. So this is the chambers of Lord Orton Merryweather. We have a hearth, a large bed, and over here we have the privy and the bathing area for the Lord and Lady. We have a larger tub on this side, and we have a mirror for when they dress. Over here is Lady Taena's chambers. Since she is from Myr, we have a lot of brightly colored linen and cloth. This cradle here is for their son, Russell Merryweather, who is the heir of Longtable. And over here, it's we have the servants who attend to Lady Taena. And up here we reach the top of the main keep. There isn't much in the tops of these towers. This one is mostly empty. But over here, we have something over here. Over there is the Mander River and where the Blueburn and the Mander meet. And if we go further north on the Mander, we'll reach Bitterbridge, and if we go further south, we will eventually reach Highgarden. This is a really nice view of all of the lands that House Merryweather rules over. So let's make our way back down. There are I think 3 more areas that I would like to explore. The Great Hall and the kitchens, and the dungeons underneath the kitchens. So here we are on the audience chamber, and you can still hear the music coming from the Great Hall, which I will get to at the end of the video. But here we have the kitchens. This building here is the storeroom where they would store vegetables, sacks of grain, flour, and other essentials. This is the main cooking area, and over here we have a butcher station. You can see there are sausages over there, and on this counter here someone is making bread with some of the grain that they purchased from the miller, or the flour that they purchased from the miller. Up here we have the sleeping area for the kitchen hands, and this room, since it looks a lot nicer, is probably for the cook. Now before we go into the Great Hall, we're just gonna take a look, if I can just find some way to get back down. We'll just take a look at the area underneath the Great Hall, which these are the dungeons, or I think they're supposed to be the dungeons. They're just old, damp, and flooded. You can see that there are these boards here which are set up so people can walk through. I don't know what this area is or was, but here we have a grate which you can see which the Mander has been overflowing into as of late. That's how this area came to be. And last but not least, we'll take a look at the Great Hall. I took some liberties and made a nice display of food on this long table of Longtable. Here we have just a lot of assorted foods for a nice feast for autumn. Over here we have a harp, and up there we have the banners of the Merryweathers and their overlords of the Tyrells. that pressure plate is something that I kind of just built myself, so we have some music for this feast. Now, let's take a look at some of the foods we have here. So over here we have a table with some cheese and a nice large roast, which is really just a dirt block with a lever on the side. We really need some more food blocks. Over here we have some grapes. We have a lot of bread. That's the actual bread block, but with some of the other things, we use some, like that flowstone is supposed to be some, I don't know what the Westerosi equivalent of brie cheese. I might be mispronouncing that, but I don't. But that is what the flowstone looks like. Other than that, we have more meat, cakes, fruit, and up here we have the dais, where Lord Merryweather would be sitting and eating his daily feast of food. So, since this came out, this video is coming out today, which is the day before Thanksgiving in the US. I just wanted to wish everyone in the US a happy Thanksgiving, and for those of you who are not living in the US and might be celebrating a similar holiday, I wish you all the best as well, especially since we are now approaching the holidays. So spend time with family and friends and people who you love, and enjoy a nice meal and the company of those you love. I'm not really great at motivational speeches, but on that note, I think I'm going to go and start preparing for my Thanksgiving dinner. So thank you so much for watching. Be sure to join me next week as we explore New Barrel. And once again, I am Chris, the Gardener, and I will see you in the next one. Bye-bye.